Is it on now? Testing, testing. Thank you. Testing. Can you hear me, Jim? Cool.
he's waking up. There we go. I saw buttons being pushed over there. Good morning. We welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Corpus Christi, Texas. I am Joy Wright, your congregate associate today, who is going to be serving to help get our congregation together for our message today. Whether you have been with us for one Sunday or for decades or months or eons, we welcome you to our service. This congregation is a theologically diverse religious community with participation open to all who agree to live by our principles, mission, and covenant. We are a welcoming congregation to people of all sexual orientations, gender identities, races, ethnicities, and abilities, and we unconditionally welcome you as your full, authentic self to our community of caring, and our intent is to grow to become more spiritual, moral beings. Every week, we affirm our church covenant, which is not a creed, but a promise that we share with one another. Our congregation has also adopted a covenant of positive relations, which is a longer statement of how we as a congregation live in our covenant, both within and without of these walls. Today, I'm going to share part of this covenant that describes how we uphold truth. I want you to think about that since our speaker today is a politician. We help each other in one another's quest for truth and meaning. And we are going to have some announcements today. And our first big announcement is from our Vice President, Loya, regarding tacos, not bombs.
Good morning, everybody. So like Joy said, my name is Laura Walcott. I am the Vice President on the Board of Trustees and co-coordinator for our Tacos Not Bombs project. So I think most of you here are familiar with Tacos Not Bombs. It's a local non-profit organization that's anti-poverty, and their objective is to feed anyone who is hungry. So every fourth Saturday of the month, our church provides 200 plus peanut butter and jelly sandwich lunch bags to support the cause and feed the unsheltered. We've been doing this for several years, and we meet this goal through the combination of several families in the congregation making sandwich bags, and then the remainder is created here by volunteers at the church on the fourth Saturday of the month at 9 a.m. So this effort is definitely not cheap. It is a monthly time commitment. Thankfully, we've had a few generous financial and supply donations that have reduced the stress for purchasing supplies. So thank you to those families and individuals. Also, thank you to those families in the congregation that dutifully make the sandwich bags every month. Your financial and time commitment is appreciated and does not go unnoticed. So now for my heart-to-heart. Unfortunately, it has been a struggle to find enough monthly volunteers to fulfill the remainder of our 200 bag commitment. Generally, we make about 80 sandwich bags here at the church, sometimes more if one of our designated families is out of town. Last month, we had 3 volunteers to make those 80 sandwiches. The month before, we had 5, the previous month, and just 3. Sometimes, though, we have more volunteers than I know what to do with, which is great. I like those months. But if this cause is something that our church truly wants to continue to support, then we need to be doing better. It's a monthly struggle to find volunteers, and before the financial donations that carried us through for a couple months, it was a struggle to get supply donations. So we either need a couple families that would like to commit monthly to making sandwich bags to help make up that 80, or we need more consistent volunteers on sandwich assembly Saturdays. It's once a month, that's it. It usually takes an hour, maybe 2 at the most, depending on how many we have to make. I really like Tacos Not Bombs. It aligns nicely with our UU principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, compassion in human relations, and the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. So I'm just putting this out there to please take some time to consider, is this a cause that we want to continue to support and make this a priority? Or do we need to pull back and do we need to shift our alignment to something else? So if this is something that we want to continue to support, can I see a raise of hands, please? Okay. That's what I was hoping for. The date is the fourth Saturday. I saw there was a typo in the order of service. It's August, the next one is gonna be August 24th at 9 a.m. So, yes, so, and it's here in the kitchen. So if you can make it, we would love to have you. Again, it would really be helpful. So if you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to chat with me, grab a board member. We'd be happy to discuss that, so.
And one more
that's,
time, what date and what time?
Saturday, that's the fourth Saturday of the month. For this month, it's Saturday, August 24th, 9 a.m. here at the church kitchen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I wanted to make sure that we gave her enough time to address that because it's so much going to be in alignment with our message today from our speaker, Jim Klein. And I apologize for the last name as Wolcott. So today we meet on the unceded ancestral lands and waters of the Karankawa, the Lipan Apache, the Tonkawa, and others. We acknowledge the sacred burial grounds that have been desecrated and commercialized, and we recognize and honor the first people who have been the stewards of this land since time immemorial and are still here. I have one more major announcement that is not in your order of service, and that is you'll notice that the piano is covered. That's because our pianist is not here. He is taking a leave of absence with or without permission from the rest of the congregation. But our choir and our band are going to be fully participating to fill in. And we, as the choir and a band member, need some more people to help us fill in. So if you play any musical instrument, if you've played violin when you were in high school and you know one song really well and you would like to perform that song, or if you have grandchildren or cousins or neighbors that perform piano, flute, violin, cello, clarinet, we can use their service of allowing them the opportunity to help support our congregation's musical endeavors while we are in this critical time without our pianist. So hopefully you will coordinate with Rob Allen, our music director. He's right over there waving his hand really violently because he really wants us to continue the musical parts of our service because they give so much to our spirituality. It is now the custom of our church to offer visitors and newcomers a chance to introduce themselves, and Ren is back there with the microphone. So if you feel it is now your time to introduce yourself, you're the first time here, or you just feel like you've been coming for a while and you want to get to know us a little bit better, please raise your hand and she will come around with the microphone. They will come around with the microphone and let you introduce yourselves to the rest of the congregants. Anyone? Newcomers? Oh, there we go. Awesome.
Hello, I'm Catherine.
Hello, Catherine.
Hello. I was introduced to this church by a couple of friends that I've met before here, Jessica and Hannah, and then of course Fran right here. So I am glad to be here, and I really came because I saw the name today for the speaker, so I'm really excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And that is great feedback. So speaking of feedback, there is also a feedback box out in the hallway. If you have any other suggestions, put it in the suggestion box because we like to hearing that our speakers are bringing in people to our thing. Please stay for coffee and lemonade and conversation after the service, and our service will now begin. I know, that's what I was like. Oh. I would like to invite Forrest to come up and help me light the chalice this morning. Oh, not Forrest, okay. Thank you. So as we light the chalice, I'm going to read these words. As many people of many beliefs, we each encourage to embrace and practice forms of spirituality that resonate with our hearts and minds. Our communities are homes for people with a diverse and spiritual practice. Through our worship services and programs, we offer people the opportunity to learn more and go deeper. Please rise in body and spirit if you are able, and help me affirm the covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all we hold sacred. Please be seated.
I don't want to live in a world of darkness. I want to live in a world of light. I don't want to live in a world that's heartless. I want to live in a world of sight. Well, you know, I want to make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around. Living in a world of justice. Living in a world of shame. Living in a world of freedom, living in a world of pain. Well, you know, I want to make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around. Turn the darkness into light. Turn the hunger into life. Turn the wrong into right. Put an end to the strife. Turn the blindness into sight. Save a human life. Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around. I want to live in a world of gladness. I want to know what your heart is made of. Don't want to live in a world of sadness. I want to live in a world of love. Well, you know, I want to make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around. Turn the darkness into light. Turn the hunger into life. Turn the wrong into right. Put an end to the strife. Turn the blindness into sight. Save a human life. Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around. Living in a world of justice, living in a world of light, living in a world of freedom, living in a world of sight. Well, you know, I want to make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Make the world turn around.
Remember, you can come join us doing that. Our story for all ages is a video today. It's called Where Do the Children Play? And it is written by Yusuf, also known as Cat Stevens.
building jumbo planes, or taking a ride on a cosmic train. Switch on summer from a slot machine. Just get what you want to if you want, 'cause you can get anything. I know we've come a long way, we're changing day to day. Tell me, where do the children play? Well, you roll on roads over fresh green grass for your lorry loads, pumping petrol gas, and you make them long and you make them tough, but they just go on, and it seems that you can't get off. No, I know we've come a long way, we're changing day to day, but tell me, where do the children play? Well, you crack the sky, scrapers fill the air, but will you keep on building higher till there's no more room up there? Will you make us laugh? Will you make us cry? Yes, will you tell us when to live? Will you tell us when to die? I know we've come a long way. We're changing day to day. Hey, tell me, where do the children play?
I'm Tess Cherry. I am your RE coordinator. So if the young and young at heart would like to join me in RE, please come on.
Now is our time that we're going to enter some meditation and contemplation. And I want you to think about, how can I be of service in my home community, in my church community, in my neighborhood, in my town, in my state, and my country? We'll now enter silent reflection. If you'd like to come up the center aisle and light a candle celebrating a joy or a sorrow, please feel free to come up the center aisle.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the red garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the...
Too many papers. All right. I am so glad everyone is with us here today, and as you can see, Jim did not make it to be with us here today in person, but he is definitely with us. And he is going to Zoom with us today, and he has a very special message for us. So Jim Klein is actually a PhD in American history. So he earned that in 2003 from Oklahoma State University, where he serves as a professor of history at Del Mar College since 2019. And he is, of course, an at-large member of the Corpus Christi City Council. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. I didn't practice. And has been since January of 2023. He is a Sierra Club volunteer. He attends the housing issues meetings that I also attend, and he never turns down an opportunity to speak at U2C3. Let's please welcome Jim Klein. Everybody can wave to him because he can see.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. I apologize for not being there in person. As Joy may have mentioned, I came down with COVID last week. I thought I was going to get over this, but I took a positive test again yesterday, and so I decided to stay away just out of abundance of caution. My symptoms are very mild, but I didn't want to spread this to anybody else, and so I decided to do this remotely. I hope that this is going to work all right. So I want to talk to you today just about a couple of issues before the city council that have been pending for a while now already, that we're still kind of wrestling with. One of those is seawater desalination. I want to talk about homelessness in just a little bit here as well. Seawater desalination, this is being posed by the Corpus Christi Water Department as a solution to our water problems. And it can be, but I have some real reservations, real concerns about the way the city is approaching this. Let me start by saying that the science behind seawater desalination is sound. There are seawater desalination plants operating around the world. There are two, I believe three in the United States, two out in California and one in Florida, Tampa, Florida. The issue that I've got with city's desalination plan is that they want to place this desal plant in the inner harbor. They're calling it the inner harbor, really in the Hillcrest neighborhood. I have some issues with that as well, because that is really an overburdened neighborhood historically here in Corpus Christi. But also, they want to discharge the brine, the salty discharge. They're going to desalinate the water and then discharge the salt, the brine, back into the ship channel again and then into Corpus Christi Bay. And that I have a lot of concerns about. That has not been done anywhere else. This is a novel approach, the idea of discharging brine from a desal plant into a closed bay. Now, there is a water exchange in Corpus Christi Bay through the ship channel. That's the channel over by Port Aransas, and then the much smaller channel down at the junction, I guess, between Mustang Island and Padre Island. But the water exchange is not very great. The water in Corpus Christi Bay typically stays there for about a year, I think 1.4 years, before it circulates back out into the Gulf again. So I have some concerns about that. That's part of the reason I have some environmental issues with the desal plant. But also, and I've raised these to not just Corpus Christi Water, but also to Freese and Nichols. Now, Freese and Nichols is the engineering firm the city has contracted with to study the environmental consequences of all this. That's good. I just don't think that they've gone as far as they should. They've done near-field modeling, and near-field modeling is where you look at the environmental impact of this discharge in the short distance from the discharge point, and over a short period of time as well. I think a more responsible approach would be to conduct a far-field model, and this would look at the impact of the discharge far beyond just not just 50 feet, but 100 or 200 feet beyond the discharge point, and also look at the impact of that discharge not only over the course of a few months, it would be a year or two, but over the course of, let's say, 5 years or 10 years, because this plant, if it goes into operation, would operate for quite a long time. Compounding all of this is that the city wants to build this desal plant in the inner harbor at Hillcrest. So there's that desal plant. The city also has applied for a permit to build a second desal plant in the La Quinta Channel. That's up near Portland, the north end of Corpus Christi Bay. The Port of Corpus Christi has applied with the TCEQ, now that's the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, to build and operate a desal plant on Harbor Island over near Port Aransas. That's a third desal plant. And the Port of Corpus Christi has also applied to build a desal plant in the La Quinta Channel, separate from the one the city wants to build. So there are 4 different desal plants being proposed here, all wanting to discharge their salty brine back into Corpus Christi Bay. I have a real problem with that. No one has done a study of the cumulative effects of multiple desal plants in Corpus Christi Bay. On top of all of this, there is a private company, CC Polymers they're called, an Italian-based, I believe it was Italian-based, plastics manufacturing plant that received a permit already 10 years ago to operate a desalination plant in the inner harbor. For reasons that I'm still unclear about, they have never gone into operation. If they do, that would be a 5th then desal plant, all discharging brine back into Corpus Christi Bay. So again, that's the basis of a lot of my environmental concerns, I think, about this. And I know CC Water has said this a number of times, and they're good people who work there at CC Water as well as at Freese and Nichols have said, we would never do anything to endanger the health of Corpus Christi Bay. History shows otherwise. I'm a history professor at Del Mar College. I look at what's been done in the past. Friends of mine tell me that Sally Ferris, actually a retired attorney for the city, told me that up until the 1990s, there was an active shrimping industry in Corpus Christi Bay that has gone away now because of changes made to the bay. You go back much, much further, almost now 100 years ago, when the ship channel first opened, in 1926. Up until that point, there were active oyster beds in Corpus Christi Bay. They were destroyed by that digging of that ship channel. So the port, as well as the city now, we have an example, a history now of being willing now to alter the nature of Corpus Christi Bay. I have a lot of concerns about that because, again, that salty brine, if it builds up, it will make it difficult now for plant and animal life to thrive in Corpus Christi Bay. Corpus Christi Bay is also the breeding ground of a lot of, I guess you'd call them sport fish that thrive out in the Gulf of Mexico, but they do their spawning in Corpus Christi Bay. So I have concerns about all of that environmentally. And then I also have concerns about how this is going to be paid for and why exactly we need this. You know, the standard line is that we are in a drought. Are we in a drought? If you go to drought.gov, that's a government-operated website that measures drought. We are not, or it's the very slightest of droughts. And not just here, but also in our watershed as well. And this is even before we got those heavy rains about a week and a half ago. Certainly since then, we are really in a water surplus for the year. Our lake levels, this is Lake Corpus Christi as well as Choke Canyon, are still low. There's no denying that. They're at 26% this morning. Why is that? I don't think it's so much that we're in a drought. I think it's because we, the city, have oversold our water supply. When the Mary Rose pipeline was built, and the public was told, we were told, that it's going to provide a kind of a protection against drought. That protection, I think that drought cushion, if you will, was sold to Exxon Sabic when they came into operation here several years ago, as well as a company called Steel Dynamics up near Sinton. Steel Dynamics uses 5 million gallons of water a day. Exxon, I think, is using now either 11 or 12 million gallons of water a day. And to put this in context, CC Water provides water not just for Corpus Christi, but for communities surrounding the area as well, for most of Jim Wells County, for almost all of San Patricio County, part of Clayburgh County as well, for Kingsville and so forth. They all receive water from Corpus Christi Water. Corpus Christi Water produces and provides 85 million gallons of water a day. 12 million of that goes toward Exxon, 5 million goes toward Steel Dynamics. And my concern is that this is what is driving us here now, and that if we adopt desalination, which again could work, especially if they were to put the discharge out into the Gulf of Mexico instead of in the Bay, it's only going to be used now to, once again, as history has shown, oversell our water supply. That is being sold to us now, billed now as drought protection. But that water then is going to be turned around and sold to heavy industry. The story is that I'm hearing two different versions of this, somewhere between 40 and 80, 40 and 80 heavy water using industries want to move into the Corpus Christi, into the coastal bend area. They're just simply waiting for the green light that they have available water. That's a great concern that I've got. You know, up until about 10 years ago, we had a kind of a delicate balance here in the coastal bend between the industrial side of our economy and the environmental side of our economy. That's a very vital part of our economy, the environment. A lot of people come here for sport fishing, for all sorts of other water sports for that matter as well. And about 10 years ago, that balance started to fall away. It's largely because the lifting, the ending of the ban on oil and gas exports. Since then, now the Port of Corpus Christi has become the nation's, the United States, leading oil and gas exporter. I think it's the number 3 exporter of oil and gas in all of the world. And that, I think, has caused it to become far more heavily industrialized in the area here. That we've lost that balance, as I said, between heavy industry, fossil fuel industry, and the environment. I think we need to recapture that once again as well. The way to do that, I think, is by diversifying our economy. So I have some problems about, as I said, about how this is going to be paid for. Now, what kind of numbers are we talking about? You may have seen this in the news. The current numbers are $757 million. This desalination plant, the one, is going to cost us $757 million. As little as 2 years ago, the city was saying it's only going to cost $220 million. So the price has gone up dramatically. I think it's going to go north of $1 billion before it gets built, if it does get built. And again, the question is, who benefits from that, right? I think most of the benefit is going to go to industry, and yet all water users, including residents, are going to see a dramatic increase in their water rates. Out in California, San Diego, California. The Carlsbad plant went into operation out there several years ago. San Diego residents saw their water rates triple as a consequence of desalination going into operation. I'm not sure that I want that. And this leads me back to something that was told to me, I guess it's about 5 years ago. There's an engineer from El Paso. Her name is Elsa Cushing. She designed the groundwater desal plant for El Paso. And she told a bunch of environmental groups this. It still has stuck with me. The science behind desalination is sound, she said, but you have to keep in mind that it is by far the most expensive way to make water. You should try everything else first because it is so expensive to do this. So we have the upfront cost of building this thing, right? Let's say $757 million. We're going to see an increase in water rates immediately, I think, but also we are already borrowing money heavily from the state, from the federal government as well. That money's going to be paid back down the road as well. That's going to mean higher rates down the road now, 5 or 10 or 20 years down the road as we're paying off all that additional debt. CC Water already has a sizable debt. This is going to dramatically add to that. I have some concerns about that as well. And the thing is with seawater desalination is, the way that you desalinate the water is you are either pushing or pulling water through a membrane. That takes an enormous amount of energy. And this doesn't get talked about nearly as much as it should. Desal plants are energy hogs. And that's fine if the need can be justified. But the question is, where does that energy come from and at what cost, right? So the standard response from the city when I ask about this, where is this energy going to come from? They say it's going to come from the Texas grid. I have concerns about that. The Texas grid already is burdened, if not overburdened, as we speak right now. So I have some concerns about that, I think, as well. And what is this going to cost then? So I asked CC Water about this. They're estimating that it's going to cost Corpus Christi Water an additional $40 million a year to operate this. That's just the operational cost, on top of the construction. I think that's an undercount. The numbers I've been hearing are $80 million per year. But at any rate, it's going to be a lot of money, an additional cost. And that's going to, again, further drive up water rates. That's, I think, especially insidious because, unlike tax rate increases do not affect people who are on fixed incomes, right? So people who are over age 65 or over age 70, who earn very little money, are not going to feel a tax increase. But water rate increases are going to be felt by everybody, even those on fixed incomes. I have a great deal of concern about that as well. So I have a lot of concerns about desalination. The city is still pushing forward on that against my opposition. Sylvia Campos, Councilwoman Campos for District 2 also is opposed to this as well. And I should mention also that Gil Hernandez, Councilman for District 5, is opposed to the city's desal plant in Inner Harbor. He is okay with desalination so long as it puts the brine out into the Gulf of Mexico. And if we were to decide to do that, we need to look at the details there as well, because would not be satisfied with putting the brine out a few hundred feet into the Gulf, because the shelf is so long, right? The Gulf of Mexico is so shallow, so far out before you start to get into the deep water. I really think you need to go a few miles out into the Gulf to get really good circulation. And even then, that's not a cure-all. In San Diego, and this is again in California, the Carlsbad plant out there, they discharge their brine into the open Pacific Ocean. And despite the currents of the open Pacific Ocean, they've identified a dead zone around the outlet tube of the Carlsbad desal plant. So it's not a cure-all. It's just to be better to put it into the Gulf. It's not a cure-all. It's just simply better than putting it into Corpus Christi Bay. The other issue I wanted to bring up as well is the issue of the unhoused, of the homeless population. And I have to, I heard mention of Tacos Not Bombs. I have to really give kudos to groups like that, to the Free Store, to Esperanza, Texas, or Tejas, for the work that they're doing, providing services for the unhoused population. That's wonderful. I think that the city of Corpus Christi is woefully lacking in this area. We receive money from the federal government through HUD, through the Housing and Urban Development, I think $250,000 a year. Those are pass-through funds, which the city turns around and gives then to local nonprofits, to the Salvation Army in particular, and to an organization called Hope House. I think they're doing good work, but it's not enough. And you may have seen this already on the streets as well. I mean, that the unhoused population is growing. Latest census numbers that I've seen indicate that the unhoused population has grown by about 70 or 80% in the last year or two, nearly doubling. We need to be doing far more. And other communities are doing more, right? Not just to provide services to the unhoused population, but also to take steps to try to reduce the unhoused population as well in the first place, to provide housing for them. Houston is doing that with good effect. San Angelo is doing that with good effect. In San Antonio, the city there has set up a kind of a service center, if you will. I don't think they call it quite that exactly, but basically that's what it amounts to, is a service center, a place where people who are unhoused can go and receive services. So that might be food or clothing or toiletries, or maybe a place to kind of get themselves cleaned up. So that if they have a job interview, they can get themselves cleaned up beforehand and increase their chances of getting a job, meaning that they would be in a financial position where they would maybe perhaps would not have to live on the streets anymore. So I think that those are all things we can be doing. I think the city manager is open to the idea of a service center, like something like what San Antonio has done. He's come here from San Antonio. At this point, the city council, majority of the city council, is not interested in that. That's just a fact. I think that we need to rethink that. We need to be doing far more for this population, the least of our brothers, than what we are doing right now. This is a moral issue. It's a humanitarian issue, for that matter, as well. I should also mention, this is, again, brings you back to Councilman Hernandez, to give him props for this as well, although this is very preliminary. He sits on the local group called the Council of Governments, an organization that represents different municipal but also county governments in the area here. And he thinks that the COG, the Council of Governments, might be a good body to help tackle this issue, this unhoused population issue. I think that's good. We're going to have discussions about this next week, I think on Thursday, to talk about that. We're going to be talking with people like Father Bruce Wilson to see what we can do about reducing the unhoused population here to begin with. So there's kind of a two-pronged strategy here. First of all, to provide services for the unhoused. And again, Tacos Not Bombs, you folks are doing great work. I cannot compliment you enough for that. But also then to take steps to try to reduce that unhoused population as well. And as I said, a lot of communities have had good success building homes for them, providing housing for them. There are still additional complicated circumstances yet as well. As Father Bruce has mentioned, what are needed as well is also what they call wraparound services. That if you provide housing for somebody who's unhoused, you simply can't just walk away. Because a lot of the unhoused population also has mental health challenges, and they are going to need access to the services that are available here in the area so that they can stabilize their lives. But the security of a home is really paramount for people who are living on the streets. That this is their biggest concern. When I go to sleep at night, am I going to be attacked? Am I going to be assaulted? Am I going to be robbed? Something that a lot of us, I think, maybe just kind of take for granted. They can't. And so that's an issue I think that's facing us right now as well. This is, I guess, one man's opinion. I just think that we need a better city council when it comes to this issue because, as I said, a majority of the council appears unwilling to really do very much about this. We're in budget negotiations right now talking about this, and there seems very little interest from the majority of the council members in trying to provide any sort of services at all for the unhoused population. And again, there are a number of nonprofits in the area that are doing good work, but they're overburdened already. And I should have mentioned this also, and I'll be quiet here in just a second, that the problem might very well get worse in the near future. The county, Nueces County, had voted previously in the spring, I guess, this past March, to zero out funding for the social services department. They had 18 staffers working for the county, provide social services. They do things like providing rental assistance, utility bill assistance for people who have homes but are just teetering on the edge. The commissioners voted to zero that funding out. Now they seem to have walked that back. I'm unclear exactly how much they're going to provide still yet, either 6 or 7 or some staff now to continue providing social services, but only a fraction of what they have been providing in the past. And what I'm hearing from the nonprofits and from the county staffers is that if those positions go away, the unhoused population countywide, but also here in Corpus Christi, is going to grow still more yet. It's going to really aggravate the problem. And so we need to be kind of watching that as well. I would urge you to contact your county commissioners as well about that. Let your thoughts, your wishes known to them, make your wishes known to them regarding that issue as well. As I said, I don't want to speak too long. There may be questions as well. There are a number of other issues facing the council right now. the issue of impact fees as opposed to the trust fund model. It's going to come up again this next Tuesday. We're going to have a discussion about that. It's probably not going to be very pleasant, but that's fine. Those unpleasant discussions need to be had. This has to do with how we go about providing infrastructure to new development on the outskirts of town. Anyway, talk more about that if there are questions about that. The drought contingency plan is going to come before the city council, I believe, yet this fall. I'm not sure about that yet either. Either before or after the election. I think it should come to the council before the election. I think the public should understand the council members' position on this drought contingency plan CC Water is putting before us. And then there's a stray dog and cat issue as well. Cats as well, but really, it's really more a stray dog issue. The number of reports that I've seen now of other animals, cats or dogs, being attacked by stray dogs, people being attacked by stray dogs, is growing. This is becoming a public safety issue, and I think we need to get on top of that as well, and we're going to try to continue to work with the animal care services, along with the local nonprofits here, not just to kind of address the issue as it stands now, but also, once again, to try to head it off, and that is by really through an active, a concerted spay and neuter program here throughout the city. But that's what I wanted to mention today. If there are questions, I'm happy to entertain those now as well. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Jim. If there are any questions, can we email you directly? I will be able to provide them your email address.
Yes, yeah, let me put this into the chat here as well for Nick. My
Oh,
eo
please,
address,
yes.
best way to get a hold of me, this is a private email address, but I use it for my city business, I guess, as well. Is Jeklein, so it's J as in Jim, E as in Edward, it's my middle name, Jeklein 20@gmail.com, and I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you so much, Jim. Yes, we do have a question, sir. Microphone is on the way. Hold on just 1 second.
My biggest gripe against Corpus Christi is many, but my biggest one is, why isn't this community smart enough to develop a light rail system when they have flat land that would be easily accessible to build a light rail system? We need it. We need to stop the oil dependency so that people can breathe the air.
So I'll
And this is a
reiterate
great
that for
place to
Jim,
do it.
just to make
There's a
sure
lot
that
of
he can
great
hear you.
land. Why don't they do it?
So the question is, Jim, is where is the city in regards to building light rail?
Building light rail, so that's a good idea, light rail. I think it's probably going to be a state project, I suspect, rather than a city project. I've not heard any talk about light rail here in Corpus Christi. The light rail conversations that I've been a part of have always been at the state level instead, especially between the cities in particular. I know Austin, I think, has some light rail now, but I've heard nothing here in Corpus Christi.
There's a question in the back of the room.
I've heard talk about the desal plants quite a bit lately, and I know that there's one example that's been overlooked in a lot of the talks. The Navy base in Guantanamo Bay has a desalination plant. They release their brine directly into Guantanamo Bay, and there's probably about 40 years worth of research that might be useful to us.
So that was just a comment around desalinization in Guantanamo Bay, that there's some good research down there that we might be able to benefit from their research that they've completed.
Yeah, thank you for that. I will look into that. Thank you.
Any other questions? One last question. Yes, right here in the center of the room.
Hi, Jim. Could you just give a few pointers of what we can do to help? And also, you mentioned changing the city council, so maybe some suggestions of who candidates that are running that might be more environmentally friendly?
So suggestions regarding how we can activate, as well as what suggestions you might personally have regarding some of the candidates that are more nature-friendly. Is that a good interpretation of it?
Yeah, so we have some good people running for city council this year. You know, I'm running for re-election as an at-large member, certainly, but Sylvia Tryon Oliver, I think, I'm very intrigued by her candidacy. I've had some good conversations with her. I need to still have some more yet, but I think I'm very intrigued by her candidacy. I think you should give her a long look. She's also an at-large candidate as well. Regarding the district candidates, Eli McKay, a good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, is running for the District 1 seat. You know, that's the north end of the city, kind of hugging I-37 from North Beach in the downtown area all the way out to Cal Allen. She's running for District 1. She is the vice president of the local Sierra Club group. And so I'm very happy to see that she's put her hat in the ring for that seat. Sylvia Campos is running once again for District 2. I'm very happy to have her on the council with me. She has been a godsend. I mean, she's helped keep me sane while I'm on the city council. And so I'm happy that she's running once again as well. I've heard good things about Eric Cantu. He's running for the District 3 seat. I haven't had many conversations with him. I need to do some more of that still yet as well. But I'm encouraged, I think. I think he might be something that I can work with as well for District 3. The District 4 seat, I've had a couple of discussions now with May Mendoza. Now she represents, again, District 4 is Flower Bluff and the island, but also the areas right along Oso Bay, I guess, where South Holly and so forth kind of run into Oso Bay. That area there also in Corpus Christi proper is part of District 4. So I've heard good things about May Mendoza as well. May has said publicly that she opposes desalination, at least in Corpus Christi Bay. I'm encouraged by that. And I should mention also Larry Elizondo, who had previously been an employee staffer for Citgo, for one of the refineries, has announced he's going to run for one of the at-large seats. He has said anyway that he is opposed to desalination in the Bay as well. I'm encouraged by that as well, but I need to still have more conversations with him about that before I'd be willing to endorse him, certainly, or anything like that. That's what I've heard so far for candidates.
Thank you so much, Jim.
In the district seats. Oh, I'm sorry, the mayor's seat. Dr. Isabella Riza, a sociologist from Del Mar College, teaches in the same department as I do, has put her hat in the ring. I don't think she's officially filed it, but she has announced she's gathering signatures right now for the mayor's race. I'm very encouraged by that. I think she would be take the city in a very different direction. I think that's very much needed right now.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you for sharing your contact information, and thank you for once again coming to U2C3.
Sure. Thank you so much, folks. Sorry I couldn't be there with you. Take care and have a good day.
Now is the time that we participate in the care of our church community by giving and receiving. When the music begins, the ushers will present an offering basket to you. All you need to do is drop your offering in the basket. No passing is required. In addition to the basket, for those of you joining us at home and those making special options for Sunday service, their links are going to be on the screen for PayPal, Vanco mobile app. Thank you very much.
Listen, people, to a story that was written long ago about a kingdom on a mountain and the valley folk below. On the mountain was a treasure buried deep beneath the stone, and the valley people swore they'd have it for their very own. Go ahead and hate your neighbor, go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven, you can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day, on the bloody morning after one tin soldier rides away. So the people of the valley sent a message up the hill, asking for the buried treasure tons of gold for which they'd kill. It came an answer from the mountain, with our brothers we will share all the secrets of our mountain, all the riches buried there. Go ahead and hate your neighbor, go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven, you can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day, on the bloody morning after, when tin soldier rides away.
Yes, very beautiful, thank you. I do have some closing words for us today as I extinguish our chalice as soon as I can find them. It is a poem by your one and only J.L. Wright. Again, somewhere. Can't find it. Should have numbered my pages. Here we go. I'm going to end today with a poem that I wrote called The Recipe for Justice. The recipe for justice: slowly reconstitute the rule of law with equal parts of jurisprudence and equity. While combining these two, pay close attention that equity is not equality. To confuse these two ingredients would impart impunity. Use good moral judgment to create a virtuous consistency, need determinately. Set aside, while researching at least 5/9 of the appropriate case law and the precedents, consider acquittals, dismissals, convictions. Magistrate with honor between the lines of righteousness and the wrong, while using a full sleeve of courage to stand against disparity. The underreported and underrepresented populace require a watchful eye. Place in a clear, ungreased glass pan for transparency and public scrutiny. Broil for expediency and then bake to temper. Use a dash of restorative justice and divinity to improve the outcome. Spicy, sweet, or savory, this dish should be served daily.
Now the valley cried with anger, mount your horses, draw your sword, and they killed the mountain people, so they won their just reward. Now they stood beside the treasure on the mountain, dark and red, turned the stone and looked beneath it. Peace on earth was all it said. Go ahead and hate your neighbor, go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven, you can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day, on the bloody morning after, one tin soldier rides away. Go ahead and hate your neighbor, go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven, you can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day, on the bloody morning after, one tin soldier rides away.
Go be active and do it in peace. And there's coffee and lemonade today.
Thanks, guys.
eat and saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning. God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. But it's not, because
to the seam now if I don't